Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, tell me about being a coach. I didn't see this coming, Smitty.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't either. I was looking forward to the break from hockey when I was, retired from playing, but position came up, and with the Swift Current Broncos, the junior team that I played for when I was 17, 18, 19. So, yeah, they contacted me just right around Christmas and asked if I'd be willing to fill an assistant coaching position, and I didn't really have any plans for the year, so I thought it was a pretty good opportunity. I have two really good buddies that one was assistant coach, the other one's kind of a part-time coach, so that was a big factor in me taking the job as well.
So, Smitty, I coached Tier 2 Junior A for about 5 years and absolutely loved it. Now that you've been involved for a year, do you feel you got the coaching bug?
Yeah, I can see how you kind of get sucked into it.
Yeah.
It's quite rewarding, I guess, and something I didn't quite expect or consider. It's just there's kind of the feel out phase to, kind of you have no idea what kind of coach you are really until you start interacting with the players. And
yeah,
assistant coach, you don't have to be quite as hard, or I guess demanding, if that's the word, but just the kind of relationships you develop with the players. And I have zero coaching experience, so just try and bring as much experience through my time playing. I was playing junior where they were, same city. A lot of guys have aspirations to play pro hockey too, so it was quite fun, kind of translating that the stuff that I came up doing into today's game. But I mean, a lot's changed.
Absolutely.
So what kind of coach are you? Are you Perry Pern?
Perry Pern, John Tortorella-esque. No, I didn't get to throw anything on the ice or do a press conference, but I players coach, I guess. At times I don't we had two 16-year-olds on our team and a few 20s, but I don't feel that far removed from junior, I guess. Young at heart maybe, or immature, I'm not sure which one it is, but so it's nice that way. And I don't know if they looked at me like the old guy or one of the younger guys or younger coach, I'm not sure, but it wasn't that long ago that I was playing, so I think they kind of appreciated the advice that I could bring that way.
Smitty, what's your go-to? You're on the spot. You got to have a drill in the back pocket. Mine was the 2-on-0 back check. If I needed one, I'd go right to the hidden bagger. You gotta have it. What's your go-to?
One-on-one battle down low for 30 seconds. That's I'm not I struggled with that, being put on the spot for drills. Like playoffs, we had a bunch of younger prospects come in. So me and the other coach had to run practices after our main practice every day, and that could be a little bit of a battle. Making up drills on the spot, and I could tell a lot of the times they knew I was making it up on the spot, but I was as many coaches that have coached me would say, I wasn't the most focused, I guess, when it came to chalk talk and drawing up drills and watching drills. So I tended to go to the back of the line if I didn't know, which was a good part of the time.
It's funny when you're coaching, you can automatically pick out the drill busters on your team.
Yeah.
And I just did it. I'd say I knew who they were, identified them in the first week. I'm like, guys, save yourself the trouble. Just go to the back of the line. Nobody's judging. Because I was like that too. I had to see it first before I could do it.
Yeah. I feel like I can't help myself but blurt out Chris Neal when I think of the drill buster.
I was just going to ask you, right?
He always had to go to the front of the line. No matter, he always had to start the drills, even if he didn't know. So he'd start, it'd be a new drill. He'd start, he'd bust it, then go to the back of the line. Oh, it's like that happens so many times. But yeah, you can see those kids, and it's like, that I guess the benefit of like playing or being that kind of player where sometimes I wasn't, at times it was hard for me to focus for longer periods of time. Like, you can pick out those players and there's just a different way that they learn. I think Guy Boucher was the first coach to kind of pick that up. When he was coaching me, he pulled me aside one day and after video, and he's like, Smitty, you struggle a bit in video, hey, staying focused. I was like, no, what do you mean? He's like, I watch you. Like, if the video's going too long or something's getting, a little drawn out, like you lose focus a bit. And so that was the first time I kind of realized that maybe not everyone else was doing that too. But so as coaching now, I kind of understand that, and I can watch for that and just kind of relate to players, saying, I have the same struggles. And then as a coach, you try and keep things short and, keep their focus in a short period of time.
Yeah.
So have you watched Alfie on the bench, and what's your reaction to seeing him as an assistant coach too?
I was surprised at that too. I'm sure he was getting a lot of offers, and they're probably hounding him as soon as the day he quit playing. I'm sure he had quite a few offers to coach because he's just like his work ethic and the way he thinks the game, his knowledge of the game. There's not many players like that, I don't think. And so he's like, to be able to share that with other players is pretty huge as a coach. So, but I was surprised to see he did take the job, but he looks like he's made for it back there. He looked pretty natural, and maybe that's kind of what I'm aspiring to at this point, I guess. So,
but you haven't talked to him, I'm assuming, right?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Do you aspire to be a head coach?
No, not at this point. I see how much work and like preparation and focus and dedication, I guess, that a head coach is, maybe more so in the WHL and in Swift Current. Like Swift Current's the smallest market in the CHL. So, everyone working there has to wear a lot of hats and, cover a lot of different jobs. But our head coach in Swift Current, Terrace McEwen, is like, he's got it covered, and, he's made for the job. And I don't think that's exactly where I am. I'm pretty comfortable in the assistant coaching position right now.
All right. There's some playoff games I want to get to from both of your past history. But first, have you been paying much attention to this year's playoffs, or do you watch much NHL hockey anymore? Do you or do you try to stay away from it?
Honestly, I don't. Like if the TV is on, it's dominated by my kids. So when I took the coaching job, I didn't tell them right away until I got there. But I just mentioned to them I haven't watched NHL hockey in about 2 years. But so that was new. That took a lot to kind of dive back in. And as assistant coaching there, we don't have video coaches, so you have to do all that yourself. So spend a lot of time breaking down WHL clips and then NHL clips as well. So that was my dive back into it. And then since we lost out, the last 2 weeks has just been a whirlwind. I haven't had much time to sit down and watch any hockey yet.
Fair enough. But by the way, do you still like to see when the Leafs are down 3-1 in a series?
Yeah, I love that. I check in on that series.
I asked we asked Smitty before, you've been watching any play? No. Did you see Marner implode on the bench? Yes.
Yeah. I mean, it's Canada. Every news outlet's talking about that one right now. But
yes.
I'll check in on series and see how different guys are doing. But as for sitting down watching the hockey game, that's not really in the cards with 3 little kids right now.
Yeah, so do you guys have a quote unquote video coach? Or are you having to pull that yourself when you're doing video with the kids?
Yeah, we pull that all ourselves. We have
wow.
Again, one guy in our organization who does a lot of different jobs. He helps out. He's a younger guy who's a lot better with computers. That was the one thing I had to learn too, is actually how to transcode and pull clips, and so that was. I felt like my dad, I guess, for the first month watching him slap a computer. But yeah, we pull all that stuff ourselves. There's some pretty cool programs that you get that help you do that now, so that makes it a lot easier.
Gotcha.
Okay, I got some stuff I want to get to. It might be some stories, if you will. Yesterday in 2018, Jean-Gabriel Pageau scored 4 playoff goals in a game. I know you remember the game, Smitty. You were part of the game. It's part of one of 4 hat tricks that have been scored in the playoffs by Ottawa Senators. Smitty, you were in both of the Pageau games, while Jason York were in both of the Alfie games.
Oh, nice.
Now, Yorkie, you're not going to remember this, but almost. So on April 28th, 1998, Alfie scores 3, overshadows the fact that was your first ever playoff goal and assist, and you were a second star.
That's against New Jersey, Wally?
Yeah.
That I do remember that performance that Alfie put on, because we were the 8th seed. New Jersey was 1, and they had a stacked team. And at that time, they had Scotty Niedermayer on defense, and Smitty, you know how his career went. One of the best defensemen of all time. Alfie ate his lunch that series. He just bullied him. He says, and he had his way. And the goals I remember, but it was more how physical Alfie was on Niedermayer. It was incredible, because back then, like in the playoffs, you could get away with a lot of shit. Like guys were running each other. Like it was basically jailhouse rules. Everything goes. New Jersey was bigger, stronger, but Alfie led the way. And to me, that was his coming out party of when he actually, because up until that point, fellas, Yashin was the captain. But that's when Alfie just says, "This is my team now." That was, to me, his coming out party. He got the hat trick. We ended up beating New Jersey. Martin Brodeur was their goaltender. But, man, that series was, to me, I was like, wow, Alfie has arrived. And it was something else to watch, man.
Well, so in the next series against Washington, he has another hat trick, by the way.
Yeah. That was a tough series. I remember that series as well. I actually missed the first couple games because I pulled Smitty, did you ever pull a rib cartilage? Holy shit.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
How I went to hit a guy and I popped a rib, and it's like you're being stabbed for the rest of the series. So I missed the first couple. But that year in particular, they had Olaf Kolzig, who went on an absolute heater, took Washington right to the final. They ended up losing to Detroit, but we couldn't score on Kolzig. We played well. Alfie had the hat trick, but it was I don't remember much of that. It was more than a Jersey series, and that one game in particular was incredible. It was physically, skill wise. Alfie was he was so good in that series.
Last question about that series: how did you score an unassisted power play goal? By the way, I tried to find the video and it doesn't exist for 1998.
Honestly, I don't know. For probably a 1T. Okay. I don't know. Probably a slapper.
Sounds like a breakaway.
Seeing who knows? Maybe I picked off one of clearing. I have no idea, Wally. I can remember maybe 2 goals in my career.
So let's move on then to Pageau's 4-game effort against Montreal. I'm going to show you some video, and Smitty, I don't know if you remember, but you were robbed of a goal, and this would have been his, I think, 3rd goal, if you will. Comes off the point, you fire it in, and that guy just skates in front and tips it on you.
Yeah.
That's bullshit. Like, right? You snap that in there.
Mine was going top shelf anyways. I don't know why you touched it.
So you walking the line there, Smitty? You're like a D-man there?
Yeah, I had to double check. I was like, what am I doing up there?
Yeah. Well, Phaneuf had pinched is all I can think of.
Yeah.
And then you being the defensive responsible guy, you were able to save it. But here, so there's Phaneuf low.
Down low on the forecheck. There we go.
You just walked the line like a veteran and just snapped that in there.
Nice.
Could have been a D man, I guess.
So do you remember much about this game?
Yeah, parts of it. Like, I don't know if don't remember. Like, I don't remember a lot of the series. Like, playoffs is just. It seems like such. It's a pretty crazy time. A lot of games in short amount of time, and you're exhausted. But that was a fun. That was a fun series. That was a fun night. Like that. This is where the Pajot chant started, right? Like,
Yes,
this playoff game, yeah.
because you guys are down in this series, or sorry, this game you're down. I think 5-3, and then you should have scored the next goal. So he tips it at 16:41 of the third. Then at 18:58, he tips Turry's goal, and then at 2:54 in overtime, he gets the winner, which is right there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty
Wow.
like I remember how loud the building was for that. That was pretty crazy. That's the one thing I remember the most for sure. But we had I was gone for a few days from coaching. We went on a family trip, and while I was gone, the players were like YouTubing playoff games from a couple different runs we had, and that one came up. A couple guys asked me about Pajot. They're like, you were playing that game? You scored 4 playoff goals? He's like, yeah. And I should have told him he stole one of them from me, but yeah, I just said like he's just a playoff player. He always has been. Like that was his first year too, right? Like I guess first year up. I mean, he's just kind of thrives in those big games, those big moments, and yeah, it was a start of a pretty legendary chant for a rookie player.
Well,
That's when it started. Because they basically went off the Montreal ole ole, and they changed to Pajot, right?
Yeah.
Well, so if you Gavin, can you put the board back up of Patrick's? Because against Montreal, he lost a tooth or two. So that would I'm thinking the 2013 run of Pajot would have been the Pajot chant against Montreal.
That's right. Yeah.
So, because that game, right, he gets high stick by PK Subban, I think, and loses 2 chicklets or chips one in the front or whatever.
Yeah.
Plus, he scores that hat trick. It was just a phenomenal night, which again you were part of. But I don't know. Oh, that wasn't the brawl night though, was it?
I don't think so.
Because that game was.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I've never seen I remember walking out of the rink and every staff or person that worked on the rink was like big smile on their face, high five, and was the most excited. They're like, "That's the best game I've ever watched."
Yeah, I think it might have been. That might have been one of the best games in the history of the Senators. It had everything. I remember I was at that. The intensity of that game was off the charts. And you guys pretty well won every fight too, which made it even better.
5 for 5 doesn't happen very often, I don't think.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, only
only
Detroit, St. Louis have more penalty minutes in one playoff game than that game. I think it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that was like in 1988 or 90, somewhere in there. Like, there's been nothing close to it ever since that game.
Really?
That's for sure.
Just what started the whole going back? Like what led up to the 5-on-5?
I don't remember exactly what led up, but the face off, Ryan White two-handed me in the ankles. As soon as the puck dropped, or literally as the puck was dropping. Yeah. We were kind of getting into it. I pushed him, and then he baseball swung at my ankles, and then Cowan might have grabbed him or something, and then it was just
then it was nonsense.
It wasn't it wasn't scripted. Not scripted, but it wasn't a planned. Some guys go 5 guys from each team line up against the guy that they're going to square out. This was just completely random, I think, and
was there much? Because so this game, just so people know, was a 6-1 final. Pajot did have the hat trick. Jakob Silverberg scored in this game, just so everybody just announced his retirement.
That's great.
So and then all at 7:00, is it 7:04? Something like 7:04 of that third period, everybody starts to get into it. Was there any talking on the face-off? Because remember, that series, by the way, was the one that was so good, right? Between Paul McLean and Michel Therrien,
Was
Brandon
that
Prust, and the fat
Yeah.
bug-eyed walrus or whatever.
was that lack of respect?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lack of respect, I love one of the best lines ever.
It was like 5 games in 7 days or something. It was over way too quick because there was so much that was going on. It was by far one of the best series ever.
Yeah.
Man.
But that brawl was something else. Anyway, then the 6-1 win. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, because it all started with the Greiba hit, right? It went back to
I was going
Yes,
to say
the Lars
is
Eller.
that- yeah.
Lars
Yeah.
Eller,
Yeah, player 61.
Yeah.
player 61. Lack of respect. Oh man,
It was so much. It was wild. Like you didn't have to
Yeah,
do anything to cover that series. You just had to figure out how not to put stuff in. Yeah.
We had to the next game we played there, like we'd walk to the rink from the hotel, a group of us, like for game time. And I think they told Greiba he couldn't walk, or he might have sent security with us, but he was getting like death threats,
no way.
Yes.
social media after he hit Eller there. So yeah, he had to go to the rink with security.
Gribe said he was slumped down or was hiding or somewhat on the bus so that they couldn't necessarily see him on the bus as well. Wild to me.
We should pull that. Anyway, we could pull that hit up before the show's over. I'd love to see that again.
Well, we'll see what we can do. We got a lot of work.
Let's get our people on it.
Okay, fair enough. The other thing I found out doing a little research on you, Smitty, ended up with Yorkie at the same time. Do you guys remember being quick to score goals? If you look at the top 10 all-time fastest goals scored in Ottawa Senator history, there's one Zack Smith and one Jason York in the top
Wally.
9.
You're digging deep here.
Look at that, though. But Smitty did against the Leafs, so he automatically vaults near the top.
That one, if it's funny how at the end of the day, everything always evens out, works itself out. But you might be able to argue I stole that goal from Curtis Lazar. Everyone, I'm pretty sure that's the one, but that was his first year. It would have been his first goal, so everyone thought he scored it and was like first goal, but I can't remember how it worked out, but it actually I was the last one to touch it before it went to the net, so they took it back on him. So I stole one from Lazar, I guess.
Nice.
I thought I saw it. I watched it. I don't remember Curtis Lazar, so that's funny. I should have looked into that. That's too good.
We don't have to pull it up. It's fine. It's funny. Like I remember that scoring 19 seconds into the first game of the season. You're like, well, this is gonna be a good year for offense.
Oh, right.
It was not. It was a tough year.
That's right. It was opening night.
Oh.
That's right. I totally forgot that part. I'm just trying to look it up now as we continue on. Yorkie, do you remember your 20 seconds of fame as you scored against Boston?
The only goal I remember against Boston, I scored a game winner one. I think it might even been in overtime. I remember that, but you got me on that, Wally, again. No idea. I'm a team guy. I don't remember individual statistics and things like that. Like, come on. That's only a Leaf thing where you celebrate personal statistics and they matter more than winning.
Yeah, exactly. Celebrate 60-goal seasons, not playoff wins.
Right? I think the Boston Bruins care about that shit.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. We'll move on. So, Smitty, I wanted to just get back to Alfie for a quick sec about coaching, since you've now stood behind the bench. Did it age you? And then when you think of Alfie on the bench, what is the best characteristic that he brings to, I guess, a bench? And do you think that he brings any of those little quips and sarcastic comments that he is known for?
Oh, I'm sure he does. He, I'm not sure how much he's been around the room in the last couple of years, but he was a very quick-witted guy, and he's not a guy talking all the time. And but when he does, it's usually something pretty clever, and you don't have a comeback for. But I'm sure he's got that in his cards. But probably off the top of my head, probably just like his on ice stuff. I remember, he'd always spend time with the younger guys after practice. We'd play keep away with them for 15 minutes, and he'd just dominate 5 guys, dangling us, for 15 minutes. And just, he'd always comment, well, like, stick length. Like this one time he's like, your stick's way too long, Smitty, and why are you playing a stick like that? I shortened it up and things worked out. The way you shoot the puck, it's just like the little tiny details that a guy doesn't think about. That's probably what made him as good as he was, is like his detail, his attention to detail on everything, like positioning, to your equipment. So I'm sure he helps a lot with that. And he's just, he's got a very, very good mind for the game, obviously, and knows where to be positionally, and wasn't a very big guy. But, you mentioned before about his, like, when he wanted to be physical in those games, those big games, like he could turn that on too. So to have a coach that kind of led by example that way is, would be pretty huge for the Senators.
It's pretty
Did
amazing.
coaching age you?
Oh.
Yeah, for sure. And a substantial amount of gray hairs a week into.
No way.
Yeah, that might have been coincidence too, but it does. And then, like, guys will ask you questions about a player or a game, and then you got to look back on, like, the date, and you're like, oh, like that was 10 years ago. That was a decade. You know what I mean? So, like, it's constant reminders about how long ago that was. And it definitely doesn't seem as long ago as it was, but those constant reminders, they humble you for sure.
Smitty, who of all the coaches you played for, I found myself doing this all the time when I coached. I found myself, when you're going back to think of things, I always thought of Jacques Martin, who I played for, and I would steal a lot of his drills and a lot of his practice stuff, and a lot of I found myself saying the same stuff he would say in the dressing room to players. Like, is there a coach that you had that you ended up kind of emulating a bit?
Yeah, I mean, probably there's not like one in particular. I think probably the best coach for me that I had was Dean Chenault. He was my coach for all 3 years when I played junior. And again, so you think he was like, he'd had a pro career, and he just kind of instilled habits that helped for the next level, I guess.
Yeah.
Might not have been the best, like, X's and O coach, not that I can recall that far back, but just those details and work habit, how you're supposed to act, taught me a lot about how to be a leader back then. A guy like Guy Boucher was, it's funny where they're at now, but Guy Boucher was like his attention to detail and system wise was like something I look back on now, and I could never kind of instill that or apply that to the detail he did, but he had a lot of good drills and different kind of ways to play different systems to kind of counter other teams. So I just try to go back and, like, think as much from what were the strengths of each coach that I could remember and kind of bring to the table. But it was just the same time, it was such a whirlwind. It was like I started right after Christmas and jumped right into it. So I didn't have a lot of planning, didn't have any coaching experience before. So it was just a lot of whirlwind of making it up as I go along too.
I love it. Yeah. When in doubt, go to the one-on-one battle down low.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, right? It doesn't matter X's and O's and drills, and who wins the one-on-one battles is going to win.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm curious, because since you brought up Guy and talking about coaches, who did you have the most fun playing for in the NHL? Like, under Dave Cameron, you had 25 goals. but I don't know that you felt you had more success at any time or whatever. Just who did you enjoy the most as a coach?
Yeah, probably that year. That reminds me too, like Andre, he was the assistant coach.
Tourney.
Yeah, he was the assistant coach there when I was there. He was kind of a huge part in that, that kind of breakout offensive year I had. I felt for the first time like he was the coach that went to bat for me, and he did it a bunch of times with Dave. And it was just talking to him a lot and, working through each game and just trying to get an opportunity to move up and bring something else, like some offense. And he went to bat for me, and, I was pretty grateful for that. So that was like, I feel like that's the one and only kind of scenario I've had in my career where a coach did that for me. So when players would come to me as assistant coach and like with that, those same kind of thoughts of, feeling like they're not getting the right opportunity. And sometimes there's nothing you can do. You think you can't get them on the power play, you can't get them more ice time, but just talking to them, helping them through that. And, just basically telling them, keep working, keep showing them that you deserve it. And then eventually you get that opportunity and you'll be able to run with it. So, I guess a long-winded answer to your question, but that was for anytime you have a breakout year like that offensively, score 25 goals. That's by far the funnest.
I forgot that. I forgot Tournier was in Ottawa for a while. Man, I listened to he's from here, and he coached for the 67s for a while. I listened to him talk once. It was at a coaching conference. Man, he's got some great stuff, like individual tactics and skills on how to teach little things. I was really impressed with him.
Yeah, he was a really good assistant coach. I haven't played for him as a head coach or whatnot, but obviously that would still very much translate as a head coach. But he did a great job as assistant coach with helping individually players going through the same stuff like that, and just kind of relating to them, and instead of just saying be better or you're not playing good enough, or he'd help you work through it, which is very helpful.
Yeah, the old be better. Thanks.
Yeah.
I want to play more. Yeah, do better.
Yeah.
But by the way, Smitty, you're tied in 28th all-time in Ottawa Senator history for assists with 99. Do you know who you're tied with?
I have no idea.
One, Jason York.
Oh, Wally,
really?
you're just bringing the heat today.
Yeah. Look at that research. We'll have to have a tiebreaker here, Yorkie.
Yeah. I had a couple nice apples. I had a couple nice apples in our alumni game the other night. Do those count?
Oh, yeah.
Smitty, do you play?
What's that?
Do you play still a little bit or not?
I was playing. I joined a rec team in Black Diamond, which is a smaller town, 20 minutes from where we live. I played at half a dozen games there before, just this past winter, but before I started coaching. But that's those 6 games are the only games I think I've played since I retired.
Well, did you guys see over the weekend? Yorkie or Smitty, you certainly didn't. One, Chris Campoli just won the Allen Cup for a second straight year in a row playing senior.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How old is he?
39.
Wow.
Yeah. Who is that? Who is he playing with?
Like Brantford or one of the. Anyway, I'll tell you in a sec. But yeah, I sent him. I'm trying to get him on the show, but I was like, I think that's Chris Campoli playing. Yeah, he was lighting it up. That's great.
That's
nice.
crazy. Smitty, how are you now? Like you play when you're like your knees and everything good? You play hockey, no problems, everything's good?
No, like if I skate too much, like my back kind of acts up. That's the main reason I haven't been skating, but the knees hold up. Like the thing I enjoy most about the one thing to kind of stay physical is running, but gets a little hard on the old knees. But other than that, like feeling pretty good right now at this point.
Good. Don't Don't stop working out. That's all my.
There's
I've been
Smitty,
bad for that. I haven't done that.
there's a question in the chat. I'm going to go Pemosis. I may actually say it wrong. Wants to know your most memorable scrap.
Whoa.
I had the kind of most memorable ones were probably Horton. I fought Horton in Boston. I had another. There was one in the AHL when I was playing with Binghamton. Can't think of his name right now. Anyways, we squared off at center ice, and he kind of right away he hit me in the sweet spot on the jaw, and I like blacked out for half a second, like fell to my knees, and then got back up and ended up winning the fight. But that was a pretty memorable one, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, probably NHL wise, probably Horton, I think. Yeah.
Nathan Horton. Yeah. I would have picked probably any fight against Montreal because they seem to be pretty good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Finally, I want to make sure I get these in because someone asked about earlier, and I don't know if you've told us on the show before, but best Chris Neil prank stories.
Oh, probably. Yeah. I think I might have went over this one, and I'm sure you guys know about it, but when Patty Weirkosh tornadoed his room
In the hotel room, right?
Yeah. So Weirkosh raced off the bus when we got to the hotel, stole one of Neil's keys because they all just leave them out on the desk for everyone to take. And then later that night, Weirkosh didn't go out for supper. He just stayed in, ordered room service, and tornadoed Neeler's room. So Neeler's trying to find out for weeks who he'd bring it up daily. He was threatening people who did it. No one would say. I don't think Patty really told anyone. And then I think I don't know if this is true or not, but he might have pulled the security footage from the hallway of the hotel.
I can see this totally.
I still don't know if that's true. I don't know if you'd be able to get the truth out of Neeler on that one either. And anyways, long story short, he found out his Weirkosh, so he ended up hiding a fish in Weirkosh's truck.
Yes.
Oh, God.
So classic.
How long did the fish stay in the truck for?
A long time, because he kept coming to the rink and complaining. He's like, "Man, my truck smells awful. I don't know what it is. I think something crawled in my hood, died." And, yeah.
But Smitty, why does Patty Weirkosh try to prank Chris Neil? Something must have
I don't
happened.
know. He had that he just had that disturber mentality in him. He couldn't not do it. He just loved stirring the pot and playing with fire.
So good.
So when we found out he did it, we were like, "What are you doing? Why would you risk your life to do that? There's no return. There's no benefit of doing that besides having your life threatened."
Yeah. Oh well, good for him. You know what? Sometimes you gotta push back on the big bully.
Yeah, I respect that. I'll take that.
Did you ever try to prank Chris Neil?
Yeah, a few times. Nothing too elaborate. Because he was always pranking, and you got to give it back, or he won't stop. But so I think I sewed his pants shut, his pockets shut with his phone and keys in one time, and then another time I took his favorite gong show hat and torched it into a tiny little ball, and then put it back in his stall. And it's funny because gong show they'll drop off a box of hats in a room, right?
Yeah.
And whoever wants them takes them. So there's a bunch there, but that was his hat. He was so mad about that. he was trying to figure out who it was. And guys are usually pretty good about Neeler pranks. They'll keep it pretty tight-lipped and go to bat for people or just deny that they know. But Jim O'Brien was in the cold tub, so Neeler went and grabbed his clothes out of his dry stall, hung him over the cold tub while he was in there, and he said, "Tell me, Obi, tell me who torched my hat." or your clothes are going in the water. Without a hesitation, he goes, Smitty. It was Smitty. I'm like, oh,
Okay,
are you kidding me? You could have worn another set of clothes home, but
Smitty, so walk me through how you sewed his pant pockets. Like, where did you get the needle and thread and everything?
well, you just go to like our trainers, right? Like or equipment guys.
Okay.
They're on the machine every day, so like
You went in there.
yeah, you go in there, like he's like, I'm not doing it, but I'll show you how. Like, so it was just like 30-second tutorial how to use the sewing machine, and then you just run a couple lines through his pants.
So were you hurt that day, or how did you get in there without him seeing you?
Oh, I don't remember. He's probably playing ping pong or something, or bullying someone into winning ping pong in the gym. So
So you grab the pants, go into the trainer's room, and quickly sew them shut. That's amazing.
I'm sure it was a process. Like I probably had 2 lookout guys, and heart rate's going 190 because I'm afraid he's gonna walk in and just stroke me.
Look at
The one you probably heard the one with Campoli, bringing him up.
No, I haven't heard it.
Neeler used to, every time he walked out of the shower too, like for a while there, he'd just like turn your shower to cold, right?
Yeah.
Flip it to cold, and the guy's washing his hair. Chris Campoli did it to him one time, but it accidentally flipped it to hot.
Oh,
So he scorched Neeler, and Campoli ran. He's like, oh, I'm in trouble. Like he ran to his dry stall. Neeler like chased after him and stroked him. Just punched him.
Yes. I was just going to ask who he punched somebody. That's funny. It's Chris Campbell.
Yeah.
oh my God. That's a whole new level of the lookout guy and the sewing. I can remember when I was playing, like a good prank was the old reliable. We'd have a guy who would put the shaving cream in the towels, and then you'd put the towel like 4 down in the pile. So a guy comes out of the towel, pulls it out, shaving cream. I like it, Smitty. I like the work and lookout guy, trainer, pants.
Yeah.
So the cell phone in there. That's fantastic.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with Neeler. Then you gotta perform a blood oath with whoever's involved in it that no one says anything.
I heard
Jim O'Brien.
Yeah, Jim O'Brien. You don't ask him for help.
I heard Neeler. There was a guy before your time named Todd White, and Whitey had these brand new jeans he was so proud of, and get a new pair of jeans. And Neeler went into his locker room and cut the jeans and turned them into shorts. So he puts his pants on. He's got the jean shorts on.
Yeah,
oh, it's so good.
Sounds about right.
And Whitey would be like he was very, I'll say, frugal.
He's so cheap. Yeah.
Yes.
Whitey's still got every dollar he's made and is stuffed in his mattress from his career.
All right, Smitty, I know you're trying to get packed up and head back home. I don't want to keep you any longer. We appreciate you stopping by for a little chat. Congrats on the new career as being a coach in the WHL.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, guys.
Oh, and sorry, before we go, I just want to give a shout out to your wife, Britt, who continues to do great stuff here in Ottawa with the Maddie's Gala and works on that. I know she was just here in Ottawa. So for your family that continues to support Ottawa, we just wanted to say thank you.
Yeah, I will pass that on to her.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
That's funny, Smitty. I just a friend of mine just says to say hello to Dwayne Smith to you and your wife.
Oh yeah, we talk about Dwayne a lot. He's pretty amazing at what he does. His chiropractor work. Me and Britt both have had a lot of back trouble, so
yeah,
he's one of the best. We miss having him.
He's actually working with the Sens now, so he's
nice.
Yeah, they brought him. He's unbelievable, Wally. One of the best in the world.
He's a magician for sure.